In this video, I'm going to answer 10 different questions that people want to know about being a CNA. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Zed back at it again with another video. Today, I'm actually going to have an interview simply asking me questions about being a CNA. I feel like because I've been a CNA for 2 years now, I can finally give you guys good advice when it comes to being a CNA and working in this field. This is going to be a 10-question interview, simply asking me questions, starting with question number 1.
Do you think being a CNA will make you a more prepared nurse?
Do I think being a CNA would make me a more prepared nurse? I do think me being a CNA would make me a more prepared nurse. And the reason that I say that is because while working as a CNA, you get to see so much. With me being a nursing student now and not having the experience of being a CNA, I would kind of be lost with a lot of the things that are going on in the day-to-day, responsibilities. But since I've been in the field for the amount of time that I have been in it, 2 years, I'm able to see different procedures being done, see different situations that nurses run into, and kind of just make myself more prepared and more aware of the field and what exactly I'm getting myself into. Being a CNA, I already come into the realm of becoming a nurse, knowing how to interact with patients, knowing how to interact with family of patients, knowing how to chart, knowing how to look for different things in a patient's history that I can, just kind of talk to the nurse over about, learning a lot of medical terms. There's a lot of benefits of being a CNA, and I feel like me being a CNA before I start nursing will definitely make me a better prepared or more prepared nurse.
What personality traits do you feel nursing assistants need to help them succeed?
I feel like nursing assistants need to, one, and I say this in a lot of my videos, be kind. You have to know that you're dealing with people. You're dealing with family. You're dealing with a person at the most vulnerable, one of the most vulnerable points of their life. So you need to be kind in that regard. I think being a people's person definitely can help you, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to empathize with patients and their pain, even though you might not necessarily be feeling their pain. You need to be able to empathize and say, hey, this patient is in pain, and don't take that as a joke, because what a patient feels is not something that you'll feel. So if a patient says their pain is a 10 out of 10, I will never go to a nurse and be like, hey, their pain is, they're in pain. I'm gonna express the same way that the patient expressed to me, hey, I'm feeling a 10 out of 10 pain. And other personality traits that you need, other than being a people person and being able to empathize, is just simply be hardworking. I think being hardworking will definitely help you in the nursing field, because the harder you work, typically the more you get out of it. Not being a lazy, tech, not being a lazy nurse. Like I said, these are people's lives that you're dealing with. So you want to give your all, because if you was in the same shoes in that situation, you would want someone to give you their all. So, yeah.
How do nurses help make your job as a CNA easier?
Nurses help make my job easier because a lot of times, like, CNA gets wrapped up into just being like change staff, where like a patient has soiled themselves, they need to be changed, or they need to be pulled up, or they need to get ice. To me, like, a lot of CNA talk gets wrapped up into like the more demeaning parts of the job, but nurses share that same responsibility, and I don't think people realize that enough. I don't think people realize that the name of a CNA is a certified nursing assistant. So I say this a lot of my videos too, you're there to assist the nurse. If you're not feeling supported, or you're not feeling like you're being assisted in the same way that you're assisting the nurse, then you need to tell the charge nurse or a supervisor or something, because the job itself is stressful, and if you have nurses that are not willing to help you, it's not a go. But a lot of times nurses are willing to help pull up patients, change patients, turn patients. You can help go grab stuff like saline bags, or you can't grab medicine out of the Pyxis, but if they have something that came through a tube, you can bring that to the nurse. And there's a bunch of different things that nurses do to help, but overall I would say that's pretty much it. Nurses will be helpful. Not every situation is the best, but if you are running into situations, you need to let someone know. Absolutely.
What is the best and the worst thing about being a CNA?
The best thing, I'm gonna start with the good. The best thing about being a CNA, and this is my own personal, thoughts. Since I've joined the healthcare space, the The best thing about being a CNA is being able to interact with different people. You know, I came from a job where it was pretty much the exact same thing every day after I graduated. I went into sales and like, you're talking to the same people, you're doing the same task. I would say that joining the healthcare field, no day is alike another day. All days are different, and being able to learn nonstop, because that's what healthcare is. Being able to learn nonstop is definitely one of the best things about being a CNA and being able to help people simply. I like helping people. I've, always been a people person, and I feel like I empathize very well. So being able to help someone in their most vulnerable moment means a lot to me. And I would say the worst thing about being a CNA is sometimes the patient ratios sometimes aren't the best. But at the end of the day, like if everybody's helping each other, then it just makes the shift easier. And the worst part about being a CNA is I think the terms that, or the group that we get put into in healthcare is like, CNAs deserve more respect. A lot of people talk about them like they're at the bottom, which in most cases we are, but they do more than just clean patients. That's the worst thing. Because I told my friends, I'm a CNA, oh, you like changing patients. Like, nurses change patients too. So, yeah, that's the worst thing about being a CNA.
What patient ratios are you comfortable with and why?
Patient ratio. So I've worked in a bunch of different types of situations. Like I've worked in facilities where, I can have an entire hallway of about, 30 patients to one tech, me. But typically that's why I go to the hospital. I left my agency to go to the hospital because the patient ratios are better. I think from my state, it's supposed to be like 7-1 or maybe like 10-1 for CNAs. And I like that ratio. Like that ratio is fine with me depending on what floor you're on. I'm comfortable if it's 3 techs on the floor for 25 patients. That's fine with me because, it's split up evenly. But anything over, 11 patients, 12 patients is a lot for me. And my tolerance is a lot, my endurance is a lot longer than some other CNAs might be because I don't sit down much when I'm at work. Typically, I'm running up and down the hall trying to get everything done. I also work nights, so, a lot of patients are asleep at that time. But I would say a good more than 10. 11, 12 is a little pushing it, but 7 to 10 is like a perfect pocket for any CNA. I feel like would agree with that.
What is your skill level as a CNA?
My skill level as a CNA is at my hospital, they do allow us to do blood sugar checks. They allow us to do bladder scans. They allow us to do EKGs. These are all things that they allow us to do. I know that some states, they allow a lot of techs to do phlebotomy and put in Foleys and take out Foleys and take out IVs and stuff like that. But I'm not allowed to touch any IV pump other than hit and restart. I am not allowed to take out any Foleys, put in any Foleys, but I can assist the nurse in doing that. So with nursing, you'll gain those skills the further you go into nursing. But as for right now, it's just simply being able to ambulate patient, do a little bit of mobility with the patient, therapeutic communication with the patient, and just simply changing the patient and, helping them out with their day-to-day needs. At night, they're typically sleep, but, they don't always sleep. So I'm there for all of that.
In emergency situations, do you know how to properly communicate with the interdisciplinary team and know what your role is as the CNA?
Yes, this is an excellent one. During a lot of times, I told you guys about codes. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it. But dealing with codes, that's like one of the most serious situations that you'll run into as a CNA, because that is literally life or death a lot of times for patients. You walk in and the patient is non-responsive, like you do have to tell the nurse and call the code. And I told you guys already, typically in the code situation, CNAs are not passing medicine, they're not putting in IVs, they're not even putting on the pads from a crash cart on the patient. They're simply just there for compressions. But in this situation, and I'll tell you guys specifically one about mine that happened when I first started, walking in on a patient that was basically non-responsive while I rounded on him doing vitals, and he was sweating so much, and we caught him early, but I just went directly to the nurse. I didn't try to fix any situation on your own because you are not trained for that. You're trained to be a nursing assistant. But when I saw that, I went straight to the nurse and said, hey, this is what's going on. I need you now. I need you to come now. She took one look at the patient and called code quick. And yeah, so being able to communicate with your nurse and having a good relationship with your nurse, at least for the shift, is super important, I would say. In an emergency situation, you just follow the lead of a charge nurse and the nurses above you. You know, you are not the only person there that's capable of saving the patient in emergency situations. You are not the only one responsible for saving patients in an emergency situation, but everybody has to play their role. And as a CNA, compressions is your role. And whatever else they might need you to do. Grab a crash cart, grab a Doppler. All this stuff is stuff that you would need to do as a CNA.
How would you describe your bedside manner?
How would I describe my bedside manner? I am a playful person. I like to, reach patients on a eye-to-eye level, basically. As in, like, I don't talk down on patients. I don't, think that I'm, like, just better than patients. I talk to them and try to communicate with them on a ground level. A lot of times, like, guys are surprised, or even women are surprised that, oh, you're a tech? Oh, like, sometimes I walk in the rooms and I'm like, oh, hello, how are you, doctor? Or how are you, physical therapist? And I'm like, I'm just a CNA. And they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. But typically that's what I'm like running into. But I do let them know, hey, I'm going to be a nurse soon. And they just think that's awesome that, there are men that are joining the field. And it's a good opportunity for men as well, I would say. My bedside manner is just playful. I try to communicate with the patient best way possible. Let them know, hey, we're going to have a good 12 hours. I'm here for you. I am very, communicative with them. If they like sports and I see them watching the game, I will talk to them about sports nonstop. If they're, painting or drawing, which I see patients do, I always try to communicate and find a ground level because I see that tends to work better for me. And I'm one of the most favorite loved techs on my floor because of that. I'm not just there to just be in and out. I'll stop and talk to a patient for hours because I just love to talk. So patients love me and I love patients. So yeah, that's my bedside manner.
What would you do if you had a conflict with a nurse?
What would I do if I have a conflict with a nurse? I'm literally working on this video right now about how to, deal with a situation with a nurse. You just simply try to find, like I said, common ground with that nurse. Let them know, hey, no one wants to be beefing at work. Nobody wants to be at odds at work. And it's not good or conducive to the floor, and it's not conducive to your healthcare team. So if I have a situation with a nurse, my thing is to just simply address the nurse. I don't do the petty back and forth. I just address it and say, hey, this is how I feel. I haven't ran into that yet. Have I ran into that yet? I don't think I ran into that yet. I've seen it and it can get real ugly, but I just don't. I'm lucky, and as if I don't allow it to happen. I don't. There's no need to be beefing at work. If I had a situation with the nurse, I just address it. If I can't get addressed, go to the charge nurse. And if the charge nurse does nothing about it, go higher than that. But typically, I think what I've seen in my life is if you're able to communicate effectively with the person, you could come to a common ground and understanding, and situations typically go away.
How do you build a good rapport with your team?
Be dependable. That's how you build a good rapport with your team. Nobody likes somebody that's not going to hold their own weight, basically. So in a healthcare team, there's coined the terms lazy nurses or lazy CNAs or lazy doctors or lazy charge nurses. No one wants to work with a lazy person. So how I build a rapport is they know that I literally have nurses fighting over me. Like, assign him to my rooms. Can I get Zed tonight? Assign him to my rooms. Because they know that I'm, moving forward, then more than just being a CNA. And I've said this before also in videos. Typically, the CNAs that are going for nursing school is going to take it a lot more serious. They are going to take it a lot more serious. And I take it very serious because I'm dealing with people's lives. So, I build rapport by just being dependable, being hardworking, and helping the nurse out however I can while asking questions to learn more. And that's how I, build a rapport with my team that works on my unit or any unit that I get floated to. So yeah, I think that's the end of the questions, but I hope these questions helped you guys out. I do plan on posting another video on how to prepare for an interview if you're working in a hospital, or an interview if you're going to a nursing home, because some of these questions that I just went over will be asked, but I appreciate you guys for watching. We just hit 4,200 subscribers, so big shout out to you guys who supporting the channel. The goal is still 5K, and I know we'll get there. 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 But just stay tuned because I have more coming for you guys. If I missed something or I missed a question or you have a question that I did not answer, go ahead and comment below and let me know. I will also tag Bree's new channel in the description below. She started her own nursing channel, so you know she is actually already done with nursing school. So she has a lot of good content coming out for you guys, and we'll probably piggyback off of each other. And I'll play some clips of hers in future videos or whatever. But that's all I got for you on this video, and I will see you on the next. That's her right there. She was the one asking the questions. But that's all I got for y'all in this video, and I will see you on the next one. All right. Peace.